before you set it up, you want to adjust your rear legs to the proper height for the countertop. So measure from the floor to the underside. In this case, we've got 34.5. The dishwasher comes preset from the factory at 33.5. You want to adjust the rear legs out 1 inch before you slide it into the cutout, because once you get it into the cutout, you can't adjust the rear legs. Now you could do the fronts at this time, but we'd rather have you wait until you get it in there to adjust the front when you get to the portion where you're going to level it side to side and from front to rear. So at this time, once you've done the rear legs, you can set it up. So once you get it stood up and get ready to slide it in, you're going to route utilities kind of like an umbilical cord out the back, and you're going to route them through the bottom, rear, or right side depending on where the sink is. And you've got the drain hose, the water supply, and the electrical. Now the hole that's required is only 1.5 inches. And a lot of guys ask me, how do you get all this through a 1.5 inch hole? You put the plug in first, and then you do the water supply. And lastly, you do your drain hose, because you can squish it down to fit through the remainder of the hole.
Warning: electrical shock hazard. Plug into a grounded 3-prong outlet. Do not remove ground prong. Do not use an adapter. Do not use an extension cord. Failure to follow these instructions can result in death, fire, or electrical shock.
So at this time, you want to hook your water supply, your drain hose up. Now it's going to, when you plug it in without the drip pan connected, remember I showed you that orange wire, it has to be hooked to the float. Until you plug that in, it's going to beep and go crazy, because it's telling you the drip pan's not plugged in. And if you got a digital display model, it will actually say F8 E4. So this is the end of the water supply. I just finished hooking up the water supply. This is the end of the drain hose that's got 2 different dimensions on the hose. The big one is usually for a garbage disposal, but if you've got a P-trap port, it's a smaller diameter, so you cut it right here so you can put it on the smaller diameter. And you can use a hose clamp, or if it's disposal, you use the red clamp. All right, so under the sink we've got the electrical power cord plugged in, the water supply hooked up, turned on, and the drain hose hooked up to the drain port.
If the disposer has not been used in conjunction with the dishwasher before, you will need to knock out the drain tube plug using a screwdriver and hammer. You can use needle nose pliers to remove the plug after knocking it through. Slide the large retaining clamp onto the drain hose and attach the hose to the disposer or the drain pipe if applicable.
Okay, in the installation that we just did the video on, I used the power cord, but at certain times you're going to see a hardwire or direct wire, which is conduit, such as this. It's basically the same hookup, black to black, white to white, and green or bare wire to ground. So make sure you got the strain relief on it, and then you just take your needle nose pliers and make a circle with the copper wire, put the terminal box screw through it in the terminal, and you're all set.